And that opens us up for this meeting of Humans Anonymous. My name is Landon, and my co-host is not here today. Amaria will not be doing this episode with me today because she is, I don't know, I was going to make up a story, but then it didn't seem right. So she's not here because me and Aaron are going to be doing another episode today. I've had my good friend Aaron on in the past. He's a producer on the show. Huge thank you to him for coming and helping out today and producing the show as always, and also being a guest. So without further ado, let's not skip around too much. Let's get Aaron in here. How's it going, Aaron?
Good. Let me get you on the other side. There you go.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, get me on the right side. The right, left side.
And I feel like I'm way too close.
So, Aaron, how are you doing today, man?
Doing good. I'm
Real
glad
quick before we kind of get into our conversation and talking today, I wanted to take a quick minute to just shout out a company that we both have been working for longer than this podcast has been going, Moi, MWAH. Aaron has also been a huge part of our troop, our website, as well as a lot of other different areas, and possibly doing some presentations with us in the future. So if you guys, like I always say, if you guys are liking what you're hearing, go over to our website, www.moi.net. Aaron does a great job over there, uploading new stories, uploading new content. So I just wanted to shout that out while you're here, Aaron, because I know you put a lot of work in there. So we appreciate you. And guys, go check out the website, moi.net. Yeah, there's a lot on there.
Yes, thank you. And if there's ever good news stories that you kind of see out there, I think I just realized as I'm saying this as the Moi social person, I probably should follow, like, was it Tank Good News? If you guys have ever seen, like, I think it's like Tank Sinatra on Instagram.
Oh, yeah,
he
yeah.
has, like, his own Tank Good News. So there's always like good stories that are kind of uplifting and stuff like that. And so that's kind of the similar vein that we're always kind of looking for of people kind of inspiring and helping others and trying to put those things on blast, more or less, so that everybody can kind of see it and hopefully kind of inspire. I know watching TikTok, I'm usually getting teared up and watching the people when they're giving out money or kind of trying to do.
Is it fatherhood that does that? What, I don't know what it is, but there was a switch in the last few years for me, and I don't know if it's just because I've got a little bit more of a soul now, but I'll be flipping through Instagram tearing up. I'm like, what am I doing?
I think fatherhood kind of does that to you. I think I've always been an emotional person, and I've just kind of, it's when you get to a point where you just like give up trying to stop it. Like when something makes you emotional, whether it's a movie, you're just like, hey, let's just purge these feelings and emotions, which I think is something I feel a lot of men in general probably should hear. It's like, it's okay to cry at some cheesy, whether it's commercial, movie, TV show, Instagram.
Law and Order SVU, man.
Yeah, whatever. If it hits you, it hits you. And I think it's okay to have that emotion. And thankfully I didn't have a dad that was like, no, you don't cry. It was kind of like, if you're gonna, let's just kind of move on. And I think that's something I've tried to pass on. It's like, if we're going to cry, we don't cry to get our way. We cry to, like, if we're hurt or if something really bothered us and we want to talk about it, then let's talk about it. So I think fatherhood definitely kind of changes the way you perceive emotions, because you've got two daughters. I'm sure there's lots of emotions that kind of go on an up and down. With a boy, it's usually more or less getting hurt or not being allowed to climb or do something dangerous. And kind of, but that's kind of
with a boy, it's more safety concerns.
Yeah. Plenty of those where you're massive heart attacks throughout the day of worrying if he's going to fall off the couch or
you need to get like some OSHA certification going through the house or something.
No. Deep breathing, making sure
deep breathing. Yeah, no, that's good though. And it's like we were talking about when Richard came on, like showing all those emotions is a good thing. We like tend to limit ourselves to only showing a couple emotions, and that's obviously, and maybe that's part of it too. Something I've been working on is just not bottling everything up, because it usually comes out pretty ugly. And so maybe I'm just feeling more of my emotions more. So
yeah, it's tricky. I watching that episode, I think realizing that being in touch with those emotions, just like, even if it's for a few seconds, like he was kind of doing, you kind of need that to kind of like feel or sit in like a sadness for a minute. It's like, don't let it kind of consume you.
Yeah.
At least for me, it's been one of those things, let that emotion kind of run through you and let it get out of you and kind of go and then kind of move on to the next thing. So, and it's hard for a lot of people to kind of process emotions and move on. I know this isn't kind of the topic we were talking about or kind of going in, but I think that's something to think about as far as understanding yourself. And I think actually it kind of does.
I was going to say, that's a pretty good lead in there, buddy.
As I look down at my notes, I'm like, wait a second. No, this kind of is. And I had been bugging you the last time we had chatted was I had these kind of themes or thoughts that have kind of been bouncing in my head this year. And thankfully we have this forum for me to kind of get it out and kind of talk through it. And one of the things we kind of realize is going through this kind of the stuff I sent you was for most people, it's trying to find that purpose and realize like, what am I doing with myself? One that we won't kind of get into, but I think it's a big part of growth is making connections, and whether it's connecting people that I think should be talking, or like my sister and one of my other friends who's a big gardener, I try to connect them and try to put them like on a text stream together and be like, hey, I think you guys have similar interests. I want to kind of connect you to, or some other people that I felt like, hey, you guys have very similar interests. I'm luckily that I know both of you and kind of wanted to connect those because, hey, you never know, like they can end up being good friends or things work out or business or whatever it might be. I think it's just in my head, it's like, hey, this is a way to kind of stir good feelings, good vibes, and kind of keep it flowing. And
that's, I mean, I know you don't want to talk about that a whole lot. We've got a lot to dig into, but like that's something that's I feel like is super important, like connections, every connection you make, because obviously making those positive connections can lead to infinity. But on the flip side of that, if we make a bad connection, that can also start us down a path. So it's very important that we're doing our best to make good connections, because sometimes in high school, middle school, or even as young adults, you're just like, I just want to be everybody's friend and try to connect with as many people and have as many followers and Facebook friends. Like that was the big thing when I was, in high school, was how many Facebook friends do you have? And like, I'm just accepting everybody, but I'm not actually filtering, what do I really want to be seeing on my feed? And I think that that's a good kind of comparison to real life. It's like, make the connections with the people that you want to see what they're doing every day.
No, that's a great point. I think I always kind of look back and how life always has bittersweet moments, and we moved a lot growing up, and it stunk because you'd lose friends along the way. But the opposite end of that was that I kind of was able to read people a little bit better because I had to make friends more often. So it's like, all right, I can pick up on these trends and stuff. And that's absolutely right. Where I can think back and be like, if I would have hung out with this group of friends, I think things might have gone a different way, might have been more negative. But because I kind of saw the red flags in the moment because I'd moved elementary, middle school, and then when I got to high school, and the people that kind of came up to me and kind of introduced themselves to me were probably the people that weren't the best role models for me at the time. And it was just, they were just looking for people who kind of were outsiders as well. And it was, thankfully for me, I kind of got into sports and kind of then just, I didn't go along those ways, which could have very easily happened, which I'm sure plenty of people do, whether it's that don't have the skills that I learned, that just, hey, this person liked me and let's start talking and let's hang out, and oh, they're kind of crazy, but that's okay, maybe I am too. And then it kind of leads down, like you said, like down a path that might not be what you want. They could be perfectly fine people, for it's just might be a little bit different, and that's okay. But having the connection, and I think just being aware, I think understanding like, what kind of connection is this something that's positive for me? Is this something like you've mentioned before, was it the shovel and ladder friends that we've kind of talked about before? It's like, are these people doing good on me? Is this a healthy place for me? And I keep seeing stuff online. It's like, show me your friends, I'll show you your future. So if you're in
my mom's been telling me that since I was a little kid, and like, it never really made sense to me until I got older.
Yeah. So just kind of being aware of the people around you, which then kind of leads on what we were talking about was, I think the crux of a lot of things is kind of how we react and respond to different things. And at least for me, when I think about it, when I was working a warehouse job. Um, I was with my ex-wife. Like there'd be some sort of an issue that come up. Like I'd get a text where she's upset about something at like 1:30. I'm at work, and in my mind, all of a sudden the things kind of went off the rails. Like all of a sudden I've got like the big giant order that's going to take so long and it's so complicated. And now I got to deal with this that she's kind of bugging me about it. And my coworker might be upset about something else, and then I get a paper cut or something. Things kind of spiral. And
Yeah.
it's not for me that one of the things I always kind of want to push and want to shout from a mountain. And hopefully this is my little mountain is understand yourself when you're in that moment, because those few 5 minutes of things that happen could end up ruining your day or week. It's you end up upset, and the thing is, like, maybe you haven't had your lunch yet and you're still kind of on edge, and your coworker bugs you, and you just kind of things just kind of pile on, and you kind of get overcome by all of that stuff. And I remember distinctly, like, my heart started racing, like I just got hot, and I was just mad, and I was like, why is this happening? And it's like it was just a series of reading something that all of a sudden just like set me off, and I'm in like a different body all of a sudden. I think that's something that people don't realize. It's like being able to be in control and understand what's going on. It was a big hurdle and a moment for me to realize, just in that moment, that I remember being like, wait a second, like I need to just stop, like calm down. Just like I tell my son, take a breath, like what is going on? Like, why am I getting so, because all of a sudden I start thinking about like, I got to get home and I'm going to do this, or it's the piling on of things that have already happened. And then you put a whole bunch of things that are going to happen in the future, which automatically start stressing you out. So,
yeah, I don't think that I have ever related to anything that you've said more in like my life. Like I was just having this conversation today with my therapist, and like talking about how I don't even really understand how I get there, but in the moment it just changes so quick. And just talking about trying to, develop skills to work on that. And a big part of that is like doing that when you're not feeling that way, like working on those skills when you're not feeling that way. And then another big part of that for me, and I don't know if this is something for you, but I mean, I tend to build up expectations in my head of either how the day should go or how excuse me, had some in my throat. But I build up like these expectations of how the day should go, or like how I should be performing that day and whatever I'm doing, or how I should be acting. And as soon as things start to fall off the rails a little bit, I lose my mind a little bit. And so for me, not going into the day, not going into any situation with expectations, where are we at? All the way up here, it really helps. And so, yeah, I definitely relate to what you're saying, because that's something that I've been working on lately, just working on not letting that one thing be like, okay, so now this is screwed up. Yeah. And now I have to go home and deal with that. And that's going to be frustrating. And I know that the cat box is going to need scooped. And I know that, the girls need baths tonight, and none of it's bad, none of it, but it's all more. And you overthink things because in your mind, it was supposed to go this certain way for it to be okay. Or at least with me, that's how that works.
I have that, except I have like a little governor in my head that like reminds me to not like to be present, even if it's like within an hour something has to happen. That's still in the future. Like it's not the present right now, and understanding it's like I'm not home, so I'm not in the middle of that fight yet.
Yeah.
And it's like I think it's that yet part that's like, well, I got to think about like how is she going to say this to me, and then at least for me, it's like how do I combat whatever I'm gonna be told, like what's coming at me, like how do I shield, defend, and kind of and so you stress about just having that conversation when you actually have it might be a minute and a half of stress, and then like if you actually say what you need to say, and then it's over, and then it's like, oh, that's all, like, oh, or you just mid misread a text, and it like wasn't at all supposed to be like in a negative manner. It was, hey, I just wanted to add this to what I wanted to say. And
Right.
so having that ability to yes, I think I put a lot of expectations, and I think it's like I have got my checklists and to-do lists and things that I do, but being okay with not getting everything done is, I think, whether it's me being lazy as part of it, but also understanding, like you mentioned before, it's like you're doing a lot, but it's like everybody has their threshold of what they think is a lot. Like if I'm doing A, B, C, and D, and you see all that, and you're like, man, I can't believe you're doing all that stuff. But I'm sitting there thinking, like, well, I missed everything else above that.
Yeah.
And there's so much, and it's giving yourself that leeway of being like, you can accomplish so many things and celebrate yourself for what you did accomplish. And that's been really tricky for me lately. It's because I've been training somebody to kind of take my job while transitioning into like a different part of it. So it's like there's a lot of downtime where I don't know exactly what I'm supposed to do. And then it's going back to having that purpose. It's like if you don't have a purpose or a task or whatever it is that you need to kind of go through or chip away at, then it's hard to sit there and be like, I'm just gonna fiddle my thumbs and like watch TV. And so that's
Oh yeah.
being an entrepreneur, that's been a big shift for me recently. It's like every minute I'm evaluating of like, what am I doing? Is this something, was this worthy of my time? Like, was watching 30 minutes of TV worth it where I could have been doing 30 minutes of work? And so there's a lot of that where I'm like guilting myself, but it's also giving myself that forgiveness and being like, it's okay because I did do A, B, and C. Even if I didn't do D, E, E, F, G, H, I, J, it's like I still am putting in the work, and hopefully I can do more than tomorrow than what I did today. But it's having that balance of letting yourself not do everything, but then not scolding yourself for not doing everything, which is hard.
Yeah, and like, I guess what I'm hearing is it's all boils down to, like, you just have to put the effort in, and you know whether you're putting it in or not. Nobody can
Yep.
tell you how much effort, but as long as you can, at the end of the day, say, "I put in all the effort that I could into doing everything," into, evening, because I struggle with, well, did I not spend enough time with my daughters today? Did I not spend enough time talking to my wife? Did I not spend enough time working today? Because some weeks I get a little bit more done than I do other weeks. And it's like, am I not doing enough though? And so, yeah, it boils down to like, give yourself the win. If you're not putting in the effort, you're not putting in the effort. And so
Yeah.
put in the effort. But if you're putting in the effort and you still are feeling, like you're not doing enough, then you're probably not patting yourself on the back enough.
Yeah, it's tricky. I think of it a lot as I'm very similar in how I do things in certain times, but understanding there's waves to this whole process of life, whether it's me doing my ice plunge or trying to go on a walk or trying to just do push-ups or pull-ups like on a semi-weekly basis. There's never going to be a perfect day where you like it's funny, I wish I could. I've got this tape down on my desk here of like a daily plan from 6 a.m. to 10:30, but God knows I wake up at like 7:30 and I go to bed at like 11:30. So I haven't followed this plan at all. And so in my head, like this is the perfect day, which might not ever happen, but I'm gonna try to strive for it as much as I can. And it's a reminder, like, hey, this is something I should try to do. Like whether it's I check off a couple of different things and being okay with that and having that reason and that purpose to kind of push, but then also realizing and knowing I'm in the middle of a wave right now, whether it's taking my vitamins that I went 3 weeks of doing it every day. And then all of a sudden I stopped and I haven't done it for 4. And I feel like I do that with so many different things, but it's not beating myself up over it. It's then how can I steadily remind myself to maybe pick up that habit, that good habit again versus that bad habit that might pull me down of like sitting, being lazy, not doing something, eating the cookies, or trying to like, hey, grab an orange instead this time. So
Don't beat yourself up when you
yeah.
mess up one time, because we're all gonna fail. We're all gonna
And
miss leg day one time, whatever that thing is that you know. Yeah, don't beat yourself up over it. Get back up and figure out how you can tackle it again next time.
but don't let yourself get away with it either. If it's
Yeah,
something like you said before, if you know that you're lacking the effort, like make a note and be like,
yeah,
I caught you. Like, and like you said, you're the only one that's going to check yourself. Like other people will check what they see, but you're the only one that's checking your mindset as far as what you think you need to do every day. And as long as you're honest with yourself and you're not, like I mentioned in the first time, like you can be hard on yourself, but don't put yourself down. And I think being able to still have that confidence, but like having the accountability, like, okay, I didn't do this and this, but that's it, the check in itself of saying, hey, you didn't do this and this is a positive move towards hopefully doing it again in the future. So it's a really tricky balance. And obviously we're all struggling with it. It's not something that anybody has the perfect playbook for, because like you said, you could do one, you could get close to a perfect day, and then the next day it's like, well, I did a perfect day yesterday, so I'm going to take a day off and kind of rest. And it's like, how can you keep yourself going each day without and being okay with it? I think
yeah,
that's being okay with not doing a workout and being like, okay, then you have to understand and deal with the consequences of that, whether you're sore, tight, aches and pains, overweight, whatever it might be. Yeah, that's because you didn't do the work in order to do that. And I'm somebody who's, I've gained 30, 40 pounds multiple times. And it's because of my eating habits, going to Taco Bell, Burger King, eating donuts, and then turning around like, all right, I'm going to run 4 miles a day for every day for 5 weeks. And then it kind of goes away. So it's having that, like that check and making sure like,
yeah.
hey, you got to keep up with yourself. So
Well, and that's like a very, I think that it's a unique thing. I think that it shouldn't be as unique as it is, but like that ability to, you know, be like, okay, yeah, I messed up today and I've got to, watch it. I have to do XYZ, do whatever I need to do to put that, safeguard up so that that doesn't happen again, or so it doesn't, whatever that is. But yeah, I just think that we all tend to just beat ourselves up and quit.
yeah,
Like, "Oh, I missed a day. I suck at this. I'm not gonna ever get this. I quit." And I think that we've talked about that on here a little bit before, but just like you have to keep trying until it seriously doesn't work. And like usually there's never a point where you can say for sure that things aren't gonna work. And so just keep plugging away at it, keep doing the next thing, and things will eventually be okay. Whether things turn out the way you want them to, if you keep working to get to where you want to be, eventually things will be okay. I won't say that you'll get to that dream spot or that you'll get to, drive around a Lamborghini in the future, but if you're really working hard to find your purpose, and I want to kind of sidetrack on that too, but like if you're working really hard, I genuinely believe that eventually you will be okay, because I mean, those are the only type of people that are going to eventually be okay, are the ones that really want to.
yeah,
Not the people that are sitting in it. And that's not to be rude. That's life. But purpose, we've been talking about purpose a lot on here. So kind of tell me what is your idea of purpose? What is somebody's purpose for somebody out there who's like, okay, I know purpose. It's like doing the right thing or doing the thing I should be doing. But what does purpose mean to Aaron?
I'm probably gonna slaughter the name of it, and you've probably have seen. And I always see the reel of somebody explaining it. It's the Japanese term, like uh, I'm gonna ikigai or something along the lines. I
I
don't
think
know.
that you actually got that.
It's as close as and off of memory too. Um, but it to me, it's having purpose. It's finding something that you. I guess to answer your question, the first time that I really realized what purpose is I was coaching track in Minneapolis at a private high school, and they were really good. The kids, I think we won true team state for boys the first year and girls the second year. So it was a really cool group. It was a very competitive group. And all of a sudden, one of the days I was just sitting there, I was thinking, man, I'm getting paid to be a coach, but I love running and I'm with people here who are enjoying it as well. Like they're seniors. This is a spring sport. Like you don't have to be here to come have me make you go run around the track. Like, and it was like, they want to be here. They're enjoying this. I'm enjoying it. Like I liked the other coaches. I learned from them. And all of a sudden I just was like, I would do this for free. And it's like, but they're paying me. And I kept thinking like, how do I find more of this feeling of me enjoying what I'm doing? Someone's going to pay me for it. I'm having good discourse with these kids where I feel like they're learning something from me or benefiting from it. And so, and it's kind of, I think there's 4 things in that Ikigai where it's like, you find your purpose, you find a way to be paid for it, you find a purpose out of it. And there's another one that I can't remember, but it's where all of those things meet, where you can find like, hey, if you're really, and for me, and that's the thing, and I've started using it as a tagline, but it makes sense. But I'm not an expert in whatever it is I'm talking about, but I'm an expert in my experiences with it. And I think we're all experts in our experiences, but I think it goes back to that connection. I'm not going to know how you were able to do this or this without a connection. And so
and that connection that you're talking about, that shared experiences, people get in fist fights over that stuff. People know you don't know what you're talking about. I experienced exactly the same thing, and this is how it was for me. And we forget that it's like, dude, that's not going to be the same for everybody. You know, just because you experience things one way and just because things worked or didn't work for you one way doesn't mean that, you know, the next person is going to have the same experience. Or, you know, the healing process of losing somebody, you know, the going through a divorce, going through your parents' divorce, all of these things are going to be experienced a little differently. Some people, I'm sure, as far as like kids and their parents go, I'm sure that there's a lot of kids who are happy when their parents get separated. And there's kids that feel that their lives are over because their parents got separated. And so I think that that's a really cool thing that you brought up, because I think that that's something that I see fights on social media all the time of people getting angry at each other because, well, they think that they're absolutely 100% right about something because that's their experience. You're absolutely right about your experience, but that doesn't mean that everybody's going to experience the same thing. So that connection and actually understanding about other people's experiences is important.
Yeah, it's huge to know. And I try to be a sponge off of as many people as I can, because I don't know what other people experienced, whether it was, and the thing is that 2 people can go through the exact same experience, like you said, and it may look exactly the same on the outside to everybody else, but it's could be the baggage they brought with them into that experience that has changed the way that they view what's going on with them. And I think that's a big part of it too. It's
or change the actual things going on. You know, you bring your baggage into the same situation as somebody else with their baggage, and things might go drastically differently. You know, and so I think that is a great point, that we all are carrying our own baggage. We're all doing our own thing, and as much as we talk about no one has ever struggled with something unique, your struggle with that struggle is unique. Do you know what I'm saying? Like everybody anything that you're going through, somebody has been through it too. But you know, sharing that connection of how did it work for you? Okay, well, this is what I'm going through, and sometimes it won't work. You know, it won't help at all, and sometimes that person is going to tell you the thing that clicks it all for you. And so, the one thing that I want to draw out there too, and I think this was the other part of that Ikigai, was what does the world need from you? You know, that's a big part of your purpose too, is what does the world need from you? And that is kind of like where I started with my purpose. I didn't know what I was good at. I didn't know, how to make money at it. I still don't. But I know, and I've known for a long time that I was meant to, my purpose is to share my experience to help other people who are struggling with the same thing. And so like, I think it's important for us to also look at that aspect of it. And, for anybody out there who hasn't heard that before, like start thinking about that. What does the world need from you? What do you have to bring out? And there's this inspirational video I used to watch all the time. And it was talking, one of the lines says something like, we live in this universe, uni meaning one, verse meaning song. And then it talks about what skill do you have? What do you have inside that you are supposed to bring out? Because if you don't bring that out, you're not just selling yourself, but the entire world short.
Yeah, that's also a lot of pressure to put on somebody too.
Oh, definitely.
I think when somebody hears that, it's like, what does the world expect from me, or what can I provide to the world? That's sometimes it's too big for people to realize, much less just trying to figure out what makes them happy. I think that should be easily the starting point. Anytime that I've ever talked to somebody,
Definitely.
I think that's a part of the path as far as that goes. But I think a lot of people, whether it's in my head, I don't know the 4 steps, but I'm in my head, I'm thinking that's a 4-step process as far as like you got to find out what makes you happy, what makes you money, and what gives you purpose, and then kind of what gives the world purpose, or what your purpose provides to everybody else. And that's really hard. I feel like a lot of people are stuck on the first one of just trying to be happy. And I think
Well, I don't even necessarily think that they have to go in that order though. Like, I think that you can definitely just try to figure out what you like, or not what you like, but what you're good at. I think that that's always a good place to start too. Like, what are you good at? What skill set do you have? I was talking to somebody at work the other day, and he was trying to tell me he's from Africa. I forget what country he told me, somewhere by Zimbabwe, Kenya, Eastern Africa area. But he was saying, I hate you Americans because you have this idea that you can just do whatever you want. And I was trying to explain to him, like,
you can't.
You can do whatever you want. You have to find your skill set though. Just because, you really want to do something, it doesn't stop there. You have to get that skill set. Then you have to work hard at it. He's like, you can't just be a doctor if you wanted to be a doctor. I said, you could start somewhere. You can start studying. And so I think that that's a big part of it is definitely. And I know that there's a lot of people out there that have, that's how I basically started. I had a skill set, but I didn't really know what made me happy. I definitely think that you can save the whole, what does the world need from you till later. But for those people who are also kind of like, I know what I'm good at. How do I figure out how to do that to make me happy and to make me money? I think that, I think that can definitely go either way.
Go
ahead.
I was going to say, if you're doing something that you enjoy doing, I would hope that in itself,
you're good at it a little bit.
Well, if you're doing something that you enjoy, that's bringing you happiness, that in the moment of doing it, that you're happy. Because that was always something for me. It's like, I didn't.
You mean if you're doing something you're good at?
Yes.
Okay.
I guess that's the thing too.
Like, those two should go hand in hand, really.
They don't have to, but if you're good at it, I would hope that you're enjoying doing it versus like hating it. Like if I'm exceptional at cursive writing, but I hate doing cursive writing, but I get paid thousands of dollars for doing it. So it's like, but I can't stand writing cursive. So there are these different things. It's like, if that's something, because that's where I don't want, if you're good at something and it pays you, I feel like that's something a lot of people end up going down this path.
Oh yeah.
And then they're stuck.
They're just miserably wealthy. Yeah.
So, that's the thing. It's not even being wealthy. You could be.
Well, but I mean, like,
really
for people who do go down that path and just try to make money at something they're good at, and maybe they make a lot of money, that still isn't going to fill that void of what's
Yep.
making you happy. I think that's kind of what you were getting at, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's if you're really good at sales, but it drains you, it's not something that is fun to you, but it pays the bills. And that's where I feel like a lot of people kind of get stuck. Well, it's like, well, I've got this job. If I would, I'd love to be a minor league baseball player, but I got to pay the bills this week. And I think that's what kind of keeps people caged at wherever they're at. And
Well, and I can definitely speak to that because I spent a long time trying to convince myself that I liked jobs. Like I wasted a lot of time being like, well, I'm good at it. I must like it. I'm making money, and I finally come to a point where I'm like, I'm good at my job. I like my job, but I know that there's something else that I want to do. And so I'm still working towards that, and I haven't, tried to convince myself that I want to be a mechanic for the rest of my life, which is what I know I've personally done. So I'm guessing that there's people out there who have done the same thing, but you get into a job and you're like, well, I'm getting good at it. I know some people here, whatever. Maybe this is just what I'm supposed to be doing. But, like you're saying, if it's not making you happy, that doesn't mean quit your job today. That means try to find something else that's going to be okay. That's going to, meet, make ends meet that you are happy doing. Because I mean, you can only really work a job where you're miserable for so long before you're going to end up quitting or leaving on bad terms or something. Well, and I guess I can't even say that because I'm sure that there are plenty of people who have worked at a job that they've hated their entire life. But I can guarantee you that if they would have been somewhere where they're happy working, that they would have been happier,
But it's like you said, it's finding the things that you like to do. And for me, I got lucky. I was working 40 hours a week, and then I started my own thing on the side. And it was because I enjoyed doing the work without being paid. I was playing with podcasts, I was playing with video editing, and I realized like, oh, there's a need for this, that people would pay for this. And then I kind of was like, okay, let me go down that route. And that was all while still working full time. So there is ways to kind of do it. Like I said, as long as you're enjoying it. And like you've mentioned before, you're streaming. I have another friend who I worked with at Menards, and she loved drawing and streaming. I was like, take a time lapse of you drawing and put it online. And I was like, start streaming on Twitch and doing stuff, if that's stuff that you are good at or that you spend time doing. And who knows, it might take you a few months to get $100 a month like sponsorship or something, but then you'll be like, I'm getting paid to play video games. Like, how cool is that? So, and that'll kind of spiral down the road. And I can't say that that's what's going to happen. But if you're consistent,
yeah, because I guess the other side of that, and that's something that I've had to kind of hear lately, is like, even if you never get paid thousands of dollars to do something, if you're doing it, you're doing it. You're already living your dream. Maybe it didn't come with the money. Maybe you don't have a bunch of fans, but like, as long as you're doing it, and if it doesn't work financially, move on to something else that you like to do, something else that you want. But like, yeah, that's another part of it. Not everybody is going to start a podcast and get big. This one might never get big, but I've enjoyed it, and I will never regret, doing something that I've really enjoyed doing and that I feel like it has purpose, and so obviously it's important to try to get to a point where you're making money doing something you love. But if it doesn't work out, don't give up and go to a job where you are just making money and you're not happy. Just try something different, because there is something out there that all of those four things meet to give you the perfect opportunity, and it's like have you heard the red car theory?
When you're not looking for something,
yeah, like essentially, like if you are looking for red cars, if I told you I was going to give you $100 every time you saw a red car, you'd see way more than you'd be looking for red cars instead of not knowing how many you saw today. And that's how opportunity works. We also have to be active about trying to find what makes us happy, what we're good at, what makes us money, and what the world needs from us. We need to actively be trying to at least start somewhere, pick one that you're closest to and start there, or pick one that you need to do the most and start there so that you can kind of build from there, because I know for me, I didn't find that intersection on the first try, and I don't even know if I've found it on the 25th try, but
And
we'll see.
And the thing is you're what, 24? And
Yeah.
to me, it's like, that's a whole person ago for me, like 17 years ago. So when you're in your 20s, that's the time to fail. Like
Try new things.
you have the energy and the ability and the hopeful bounce back mentality to try things and fail. And it's no different than when I had a 17-year-old body and could dive on the floor and bounce back up. You have to have the same thought process when you're in your 20s. It's like, it was not to scare people off, but it's like, and I'm by no means on my way. It's just, I'm in a great space. I have like freedom of time and money. And it took me until I was 40 to kind of get to that point. And it's only because of how many times I failed. And all of a sudden, like, of the 100 times I failed, and then was like, oh, I like Photoshop. And then like I fail a whole bunch of other times. And then like, oh, I like this. And so it's going to take time for you to try things and see what works, what doesn't work. And obviously having a business, it's something on the same lines of that, but turned way up. It's like, how do I find different things of, should I stick with this course of action, or should I keep doing this? And so it's,
because you got to try to improve and grow, not just as a person, but as a business now.
And I think I see stuff where it's like, another is meant, we should have like never mind, a game where for however many Instagram quotes we mention of what is it, somebody might die at 25 but isn't buried until they're 75, and it's because they've kind of given up on life and got stuck in that cage or whatever we were talking about before, where they feel stuck and then they just stay stuck the rest of their life. And I would think our hope with this is to help break a few people out of those cages, to think like, hey, there is a chance and an opportunity. I just have to figure out what it is within me and then kind of put that effort and work in. And yes, it's hard, but I think it's totally worth it. I'm excited, and we'll probably have some snippets. I plan on making a video. I'm going to South by Southwest, going to kind of check out some different mental health
very cool
forums and stuff. And for me, it's like, how can I learn, again, sponging from so many different people, of what can I bring and hopefully give to you and to this community, some other information that's kind of bouncing out there, and hopefully maybe more contacts, people to have on in the podcast in the future. And for me, those are things that I enjoy doing. It's connecting. I find my purpose in trying to help different people and to make connections and stuff. So to me, that's what gets me excited. And I hope that there's, whatever it might be, Legos. I've got friends that have they're 30, 40-year-olds, and they have whole rooms with giant Lego stuff, or skateboarders. And so you're one as well. And so it's get out there, find those passions. And I think that's what gives you that spark to wake up every day, even if it's, you got a crappy job, but if you have, you're going to go skating. I know I'm going to go make this new dinner tonight that I haven't tried, if you love cooking. And so it's finding those things that kind of will give you that light and that fire throughout the day to kind of get you through those boring times. If you're at a job that you're not happy with, or you're stuck in school and taking classes that you're not enjoying, because
it's about finding fulfillment wherever that, whether you're getting that from your work, whether you're getting that at home, and there has to be some sort of fulfillment where you're doing something that you can say at the end of the day, I'm proud of.
Yeah. And it will change too. The older you get, things will change. You're not going to I was obsessed with sports. I watched probably ESPN on nonstop. And now it's like, I watch F1. That's about it. So it's tricky. Like, you're just, the older you get, whether it's, like you said, being a parent, you have different priorities and things, but it's finding the happy parts of life is what makes every day enjoyable. And it's easy when you have kids, because they're awesome. So
they're like the reset button. So whatever baggage I'm bringing home, I can just drop it all at the door as soon as they smile. But no, a lot of people don't have that.
No, I've been the single guy depressed, not knowing what I want to do and going to a crappy job. So it's tricky, but
Oh
it's
yeah.
getting through those times, and thankfully having friends to kind of talk through, and having habits, positive habits that help me get through it. Running and was a great one to kind of de-stress. I know you talked about basketball and having competitive sports. At least I know for men, it's having that kind of whatever it might be that's within sports that kind of gets us to kind of de-stress a little bit.
Yeah,
Whether
I don't know if it's the competition or just the physical aspect of it, or yeah, I think that you're right.
there's something
It's
there.
helpful. It
Yeah,
really is to de-stress and to have, especially when you're either playing pickup or going for a run with someone that you're tight with, or someone that knows you. There's definitely a lot of benefits to
yeah,
doing that. So
yeah. It's finding those things that'll help you to get through things, even if it's chess or, like I mentioned, cooking. It's finding those different things. Everybody has kind of those things that kind of spark them, and it's just making sure that you make a point every day to work your way to get to that point, whether it's to sit down and play a game, or to get into the kitchen and make a meal, or even if it's cleaning or running, go for a drive, go for a hike. Like, there are things that are out there that you want to do. It's just making the point and the time to go do it, so that you can have those positive experiences that give us that juice and that high that you were talking about with Richard last time, as far
yeah.
as that kind of tap into those emotions that you can kind of gain from it. And that's
And I think that you just hit on a really cool thing too. And this is something that, um, again, my therapist told me this today. She said, you need to be like Yoda. There is no try, there is do or do not. So you either are going to do those things for yourself or you're not, because you hold yourself accountable. Stop
yeah,
saying you're going to try. Stop saying you're going to try all the time, because I'm very guilty of it. Okay, I'll try. And then what happens? You go, oh, well, I tried. It didn't work out. Well, we'll try something else then. No, do it.
yeah,
Just do it. Just take some time for yourself. Unless you are in jail, rehab, like unless you literally can't go do something for yourself, go do something that makes you happy. Because at the end of the day, like you were saying, that's first and foremost kind of where you have to start. Because if
yeah,
you're not happy, how are you ever going to figure out what you're good at doing? How are you have to be okay. You have to be okay.
yeah.
So, Aaron West, thank you for coming on, man. I think this is a great topic. Really enjoyed kind of bouncing this whole idea of purpose, and what that looks like, back and forth. I definitely learned some things myself, and kind of, I don't know, I feel like every time we chat, I kind of work through some things in my own head. So it's great having you on, man. And we will definitely have you back after South by Southwest to kind of let us know how that went.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. I think it should be a lot of fun. I'm excited to take a bunch of notes and hopefully get some good recordings of some speakers. And like I said, hopefully make some connections, and hopefully we can have some of them on and talk to them and kind of go from there. But yeah,
Definitely. Did you want to talk real quick, do a little plug for your Monday show?
my marketing show.
Sure.
Oh, sure. I think we missed this last week, so I apologize if there was anybody that was really checking that one out. So yeah, every Monday we do a marketing podcast for iMagnet. We're
Yeah,
live
we
on.
meaning you.
Yes.
Yeah, that's he does a podcast with your personal company.
So yeah, I created my own marketing company, which this is the first place it's actually been out publicly, was actually absorbed and purchased by a much larger marketing company, iMagnet. So now all of my clients are iMagnet's clients, and we're a big company, a lot of window tint shops we kind of work with, but as well as plenty of other companies that we kind of work with. But so every Monday we kind of have a marketing half an hour where we kind of break down different topics and different acronyms. If people don't know what SEO means, we break down what search engine optimization is and how it works, and
I don't
why
know.
you should know about it, type of thing. So but yeah, we're getting a lot more steam rolling, a lot more people watching. So we definitely would love to have anybody that has any marketing questions to join us live and put in your questions. You can always email us beforehand too. So, but yeah, thank you. Yeah, we just like helping people and want to explain what we're doing, because a more educated customer is a better customer.
I like that. I need to be a better educated customer, because a lot of what you just said sounded like gibberish to me. So maybe I got some videos to watch.
There you go.
Aaron West, appreciate you coming on, man. We will see you guys next time. Again, go check out that website, www.moi.net, created by our own Aaron West. And so go check that out. Thank you guys so much. Have a good night.
See you guys.
This is Landon Ballard, and this has been the Humans Anonymous podcast, brought to you by Moi. For more information on mental health, substance abuse, or to have me and Amaria come speak at your school, please head over to moi.net.